do that. We still have to fix that logo. Hey guys, and welcome to Video Game Talk. What's this? Where was it last night? This is Friday morning. Well, it's actually still Thursday night for us, but we're recording it and posting it Friday morning because we think this is the big test. We think it'll get better views if it goes live Friday morning.
Turns out a lot of our viewership is asleep when we're typically uploading this video. Surprise, we upload it late.
Yeah, so we might try this with Star Wars Hour.
And we're in California, whereas most of our fan base is in the American East to Midwest, if not overseas in the United Kingdom. Which makes it very difficult to catch that on release curve.
That's right.
We're thinking of you. I am thinking of you.
I'm thinking of, like, just you, too.
No, you're thinking of views. It rhymes with
you. Yeah, but
you.
views is you.
You is views.
So E3 2018 has come and gone.
It happened. I know that you guys have got a million hours of dissertations and have been able to sort of unload everything that you say. So it feels like it's really been said, you know, kind of what everybody feels like on this, but I feel like we'd be damned if we didn't give our just honest sort of word vomit dissertation of what we felt was at E3. So we're going to kind of do a good and the bad and the ugly of E3 and a hot take.
Yeah, because there was a lot at E3, but not all of it was good. And some things that we've been talking about here for a while didn't show up.
I'm reading the comments from last week because we asked and will address at the end of the video the question of, like, what were you expecting at E3? And I'm noticing about of the third of the people who commented did not get to see what they were hoping for at E3. Yeah, you guys didn't get anything that you were looking for. Some of the obvious ones were there. Some of the obvious ones, some of the stuff I thought was for sure going to be there just wasn't.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm going to try our best to just kind of unload on that as best as I can remember, because there was a lot.
So, the good. Here's the good.
You want to start on the high note?
Yeah, let's start on the high note.
You rather start on the high note than end on it?
Yes, the best part of E3 was definitely Bethesda. And not just their opening ceremony and their big press conference, which showed, like, everything. And again, I will say, like, just as I predicted, we did get little teasers for Elder Scrolls 6 and for Starfield. And Garrett was over here like, no, they're not going to tease us with Starfield.
I was so sure that they wouldn't. Now, that being said, you know,
it was a very small
teaser that we did get was in line with about what I expected, as well as Todd Howard's full dissertation that, like, this is going to be next generation, which kind of carries the implication that we won't see a lot of this stuff until 2020.
Yeah.
When the next generations of consoles are released, which is kind of by de facto, as much as I lost out on the whole sort of like, well, we won't see it because they're going to save it. They more or less did confirm what I suspected, but it was nice of them to include a nice little logo and a shout out to the fact that they were, in fact, working on these things.
Yeah, just the official confirmation is good.
Yeah, it's nice for them to stand up on stage and be like, we know you were expecting this, and it is being worked on. Here is a clear outline of your expectations as far as, like, what you should expect when this comes out.
And we got a nice little filler content like Blades, the new Elder Scrolls mobile app, which looks pretty dope. And we
looks cool. I mean, that's probably one of the ones that I've noticed to be the most contentious as far as everything, because it's just, you know, a lot of the stuff that is like mobile to PC sort of ports and whatnot, we have yet to see one of those do really well. In general, the simplicity that is required to, you know, have a game sort of survive and be, like, successful on mobile doesn't translate to PC, where people are naturally expecting more for their processing power. And the fact that Blades is going to extend even beyond that as far as a VR sort of iteration means that there's going to be some platforms where this is just not popular. But on mobile, which I believe is kind of like the lowest common denominator that this game is made for, I actually think Blades will be pretty cool.
Yeah, and there was some nice updates to Elder Scrolls Online. Somerset is a huge update, and then the Elder Scrolls card game that I can't remember the name of at the moment. Do you remember the name of the Elder Scrolls card game?
Oh, God. Legends?
Legends. I wanted to say Legends, too.
Elder Scrolls Legends, yeah, just not something that I'm going to be playing per se. I got my fill with Hearthstone.
Oh man, but those all the you know everything they were talking
about.
Legends
does look good though.
I'm more excited now about Rage 2 than I was before, and you know, obviously Doom Eternal, that looks dope as all dopeness.
I know we didn't get a lot on Doom Eternal, but here's the thing: you don't need a lot for Doom Eternal.
Just
we
need to know
are
that it's
pretty
coming.
clear on what Doom Eternal is going to be. If you played the Doom that they just released, which is, I think, one of my favorite shooters within recent memory, you know what's coming. You can be excited for that. You don't need a lot of detail on, like, Doom Eternal and what it's going to be.
But, of course, the whole thing was, like, Fallout 76. That was the big... That wasn't just the icing on the cake. That was the flour, the eggs, and the blending of the cake. That was the cake.
It was the high point, certainly. It was the question that we came into with... Or it was the release that we had the most questions about coming in, certainly. The leak for Rage 2 meant that, you know, we had a good time to digest and kind of anticipate that. And if I had gone back and been able to anticipate which was going to be leaked, I'm really glad that Rage 2 got leaked.
Yeah.
As opposed to 76. Because I'd be upset if they didn't get to do their little wacky... As much as...
The little Vault
I
Boy
found
cartoons.
it a little bit ridiculous. I have to be in full admission. I love crap like that when developers get all kooky and do like, ooh, I'm stringing you along. And guess what this sort of thing is? It brings us all together. We get excited. We get to all just be nerds together for, you know, like 24 hours and conjoined excitement. And Bethesda... I know the Bethesda conference is contentious for a lot of you. I know a lot of you were expecting different things. I know a lot of you are not big fans of what 76 is going to become and has been very clearly laid out as. We personally are very excited for it. We make no apologies for being very excited about it, but I do know that like a big part of our enjoyment of it is the fact that I know at this exact moment we've got like 9 friends that are going to be dedicated to 76, and this is going to be a big social event for us.
Yeah. I loved the little Vault Boy cartoons that were kind of interwoven with the gameplay mechanics and showing us kind of like how the videos relate to what you're going to be doing in the game. It was great. Of course, not everybody's going to be a fan of a multiplayer Fallout experience. And, you know, I love single-player Fallout, but if I want to play single-player Fallout, those games are, of course, still available to me. I can go back and play New Vegas or Fallout 4 anytime I want. And, you know, I know that Todd Howard was saying, oh, you will be able to kind of single-player it-ish, but, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to get away from that PvP.
It's not the tailored experience. Yeah. You're going to have to make that work and bring your own sunshine.
So, this is just the Fallout game where you team up and play other players. That's just what this is, and I think that that's fine, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, so therefore it is rooted in the good category for us. Yeah. I like, I'm going to tentatively put Blades there as well, because as much as Blades... I really hope that Blades brings enough gumption to be successful on its cross-platform stuff. Otherwise, it will literally just be a mobile game, and that's not really the appeal that they're sticking to. I really hope that Blades can do something that I don't anticipate and come out as something that has like a really rich experience on the console and the PC environment, so that there is meaningful cross-platform play. But at this point, my anticipation is it's just going to be a good mobile game.
Yeah.
And it won't really catch on in a lot of the other lights. I hope I'm wrong about that, and still tentatively will say that like this is a good thing. I like it when cool developers take risks.
And then there's this whole Wolfenstein expansion as well. You know,
yeah, I didn't get a lot on that, but I love the 80s aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big, you know, sort of like cyberpunk. We'll get to that. And like the sort of like the laser line retro punk, you know, sort of 80s stuff that you see there. And to see a Wolfenstein game in that presentation was cool, and I look forward to that. I will definitely be playing that.
To me, Bethesda, like, especially like on the floor, nobody had more things to play over at E3 than Bethesda. They had, you know, like you had lines to play everything, and even though you couldn't physically play Fallout 76, there was a line that you could wait in to get a Fallout 76 experience where they had like Vault 76 set up as a real thing that you could walk through and put on your party hat and like, you know, experience the vault and then come out as a vault dweller. It was a neat little kind of, you know, experience, you know. So, and they definitely had the most space over there. I really think in every way Bethesda really won E3 if they could be a winner.
There's no disputing whether or not you feel, you know, a certain way about their releases or whatnot. We're certainly very positive, but we're big Bethesda fanboys. Bethesda this year was the picturesque model of what you would expect from an E3 conference.
Yeah.
You expected people to be standing there talking about games. Not talking about hardware releases, not talking about weird coulda, woulda, shouldas, you know, sort of thing. Not the weird, like, fiscal review report that we got from E3, but, like, very much just sort of Todd Howard or a relevant or a similar figure on stage game after game after game. Some of it miss, some of it hit, all of it kind of exciting, all of it having a good sort of crescendo build-up. I think Bethesda, regardless of how you feel about it, very much presented the idealistic presentation.
Oh yeah,
of
and
E3.
everybody who presented was very excited about what they were talking about.
Right.
Everything was like,
that's just how you should do it.
And every single game, they're like, we're playing it right now. We can't wait for you to play it. We're just bug testing it now.
Yeah.
Well, imagine that, Bethesda doing bug testing. So, hopefully these games will come out, 76 out of everything they've ever done maybe needs to have the least amount of bugs for it to work properly.
Netcode is tough.
Yeah.
I was going to say some obscenities that I'm not going to say, and I'll just leave it at tough.
Literally everybody before and after that was kind of weak. I felt like Microsoft, with their Xbox presentation is kind of weak. And obviously, Sony was kind of weak. Again, we talked about Spider-Man. That looks like an awesome game.
All these other developers had like a distinct high point, in their presentation. Most of them had a high point, sort of thing, where people were really excited. But I don't think any other developer was able to continuously roll out sort of like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. At least everything was interesting when Bethesda was talking about
Sony's booth area was interesting enough. They had it built up like New York City,
Yeah.
and they had a guy in a Spider-Man costume kind of running around doing Spider-Man things. And it was cool. They were obviously, they're like, here's our one good game.
By the way, who do I need to talk to get that job? Like, just I'm E3 Spider-Man. Like,
they're doing like his thing.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that was okay, but at the same time, every time we went over there, it was like, cool, Spider-Man. And like, we're excited for Spider-Man, but it's the one thing that they had going for them over there. And I tell you guys, my friends, literally every other booth and experience at E3 was just kind of lackluster compared to this cantankerously huge Bethesda area.
Right.
And they had this huge Fortnite setup. Fortnite had a
We
big
should probably
booth
use
and
this
stuff,
as
and-
to transition away from the good into the
Okay,
bad.
now
But
we're getting into the
before
okay.
you get into the bad, officially, because I feel like you're going there, let's talk about the non-Bethesda goods.
Okay, was there any non-Bethesda goods?
There were. Spider-Man you mentioned.
Okay, Spider-Man was non-Bethesda good.
Yeah. What else? I'm not prepared to list Anthem as a good because I didn't see enough to actually...
It was barely there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, their trailers for them are very high-quality cinematic projections or whatnot, but I have yet to see enough gameplay or actual meat from Anthem that I'm, like, ready to say, like, oh, that'll be interesting. I know enough to know that they're going to try to directly compete with Destiny, and that's fine. I like kind of the play model that Destiny has. I think it's a little... short on content, gets a little repetitive in the ends, but ultimately I'm ready to call Destiny a good series and a good game.
And there was some good in the Microsoft area in the indie section. Like Ori, people were lining up to play Ori.
Ori looks incredible!
And other stuff.
Will of the Wisps!
There was like barely a line for Sea of Thieves. Last year, people were lined up around the building to play Sea of Thieves. This year was just like a few guys willing to play the new update or whatever.
That's a bummer too, because I was really excited for Sea of Thieves. I thought it was going to be a big thing. I never even bought it, and it seems to be justified because while Sea of Thieves looks compelling and seems to present a good multiplayer environment, it just still seems to be so starved on content. And I was thinking, like, okay, they released it starved of content. E3 is going to roll around, and we're going to get a whole bunch of Sea of Thieves released. We kind of didn't. Anyway, I'm talking about bad stuff.
I would say at Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, however you want to say it. I think it's Ubisoft. I've been struggling to say it for years, because everybody has a different opinion. But I think at Ubisoft had a decent area, and they had a lot of gameplay and trailers going for Skull and Bones, their new pirate game, which looks to be like, hey, we made a pirate game too, and it looks better.
Right. Also, they were... let me ask you this. Are you prepared to put Assassin's Creed in the good category?
I didn't really care for what I saw, honestly. If the Greek
I love the Greek aesthetic.
It's great aesthetic, yeah, but the gameplay looked like back to Assassin's Creed 2.
I mean, it looks like another Assassin's Creed game. I know when you release an Assassin's Creed game every year, that doesn't leave a lot of room for, like, innovative, recreation of the, franchise.
I always appreciate the new themes that they come up with, but gameplay-wise, it just looked run-of-the-mill. Skull and Bones took the cake for Ubisoft this year.
Also, why did they demo a following level?
I don't know.
Donkey talked about that in his video, where they're just like, and the video was just like you following somebody.
So after Assassin's Creed 4, which was Black Flag, the big pirate game,
I think the high point of the series.
Yeah, they had the thing is when that game was over, a completely different team took over the Assassin's Creed series. The people that made Black Flag have been working on Skull and Bones, you know, because they're like, we loved making this, we want to make a new pirate
was
game.
like, okay, that was good. I don't know if it deserves to be. I don't know if it's Assassin's Creed, but that was really good.
And if you guys have seen the gameplay videos, it's real meticulous, you know, going from steering the ship to getting on navigation to, you know, shooting the cannons and then jumping on other ships. It's like
Black Flag is a thumbs up for me. I'm ready to put that in my good category.
Yeah, so if you really wanted like meticulous pirate planning and just you know doing all the pirate stuff, Skull and Bones is made for those people, and I think it looks like it looks very promising. So that definitely goes in the good category.
Halo Infinity for me goes in the good category.
Yeah, we'll see.
It is. I mean, Halo. It's not crazy that it's coming out. We could have all anticipated that we would see a master collection of Halo, but another rehashing and and promising homage to what I think was the core and really really promising elements of the Halo series. Is good to me. I don't know. I have a hard time rooting for remakes, but Halo is one of those ones that will always seem kind of fun and interesting to me.
Now, moving on to EA, unless you're a huge fan of soccer and FIFA, there was probably nothing for you. There was the one Star Wars announcement. I remember saying, I thought they weren't going to mention anything about Star Wars because
you're gonna have to save this for Ugly.
You know what? Okay, we'll save that for Ugly. We'll get back to EA.
Yeah,
on
we're supposed
Ugly.
to be talking about good stuff.
Okay,
now.
good stuff.
Because you haven't even mentioned Smash.
Okay, yeah, I was about to get to that. Okay, so yeah, we have to talk about Nintendo, and even though most of what they talked about was stuff we already knew, and yes, we did know that Smash was coming. It was good that we finally got an official title, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I think is an awesome name. And then we also got a couple of surprises. We kind of knew the Inklings were going to be in there because of that first teaser. But Ridley from Metroid is our first newcomer into the series, really, except for the Inkling again. And that's really cool because that seems to be a really OP character to play as.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you do get to play as Bowser. Bowser is like a final boss.
Yeah.
in
I'm really
games.
excited because, as many of you already know, every single playable character from the entire Super Smash Bros. Series is going to be playable from the get-go in this game. So characters like Ice Climbers and Snake that have kind of been spotty, like, oh, they were in this game but not in this game, everybody's in this game. That's how the gameplay trailer started out. It's like, everyone is here. Everyone that you've ever wanted. So that means Konami finally is playing ball again and put Snake in there. Could we maybe see some Simon Belmont down the road? So what's exciting for me is since they've just been like, here's everyone. Because sometimes they're like, oh, here's Luigi. He's back like 2 months before the game comes out. It's like, we don't care about people that we already know.
We know. Why would you release a Smash game without Luigi? You know,
exactly. So I'm glad that right up front they're like, yeah, if he's been in Smash Bros, if he or she has been in Smash Bros, they're in this Smash Bros. And that means we have until the game comes out later this year for all of those new challenger approachings, and I can't wait to see who's new in this game.
Yeah.
So far, just Inklings and Ridley. But yeah, the Smash Bros. Tournament, you know, if you were on this channel, we covered most of the tournament. And that was awesome seeing professional Smash Brothers players get into this game. And we interviewed...
And the new mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
Look tasty.
We actually did shoot some camera footage that wasn't like the phone footage that I have not released yet, where we got interviews from some of the tournament players, and they all kind of said the same thing, where it's like, it's like the fastest it's ever been, at least as fast as Melee, maybe even faster. And it's like, because some people are like, oh, it's just like 4.5. It's really just Smash 4 with some new stuff. No, they've incorporated some new stuff and surprises in here. Every single character, if you saw that big video that Nintendo released, every single character has updated moves and upgraded stuff. It's really incredible.
Yeah, from a mechanics level, Smash is everything to be excited about, and I really do believe that was the highlight of the Nintendo conference.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly. I will be buying Smash. I will be playing Smash. Smash looks great. I haven't, Rich is obviously a very, very tried and true, Nintendo fan and whatnot. I am less so, just because I didn't really grow up playing a lot of Nintendo stuff, but Smash grabbed me, certainly.
Smash grabbed.
And I'm also very excited for a Switch Mario Party.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Super Mario. I love how they're calling it Super Mario Party.
I know it's a tired homage and really nostalgic and perfect all wrapped up in one. I think that is going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, and it looks like I love that it's not just the same old stuff. They've incorporated all the Switch mechanics in there, and there's some new mini games that we've never seen before. And yeah, that looks pretty good too.
Yeah.
And that's about it from Nintendo.
Right.
Because they forgot to bring any games.
I'm going to quote Donkey on this one and be like, well, Nintendo forgot to bring any games to E3.
No, they actually had quite a bit of playable games over there.
I will say Nintendo wins on the fact that they came guns blazing with the few games they did have. They laid out Smash in a very, very, very thorough way. They had people prepared to play it at a top level. Yeah. And that's really cool because I've been reading about this all week, and all this sort of stuff, and who you let play your game and who you let debut your game is often very, relevant to how it's received and whatnot. And there's a lot of people out there that get early game releases and just play them like garbage. Yeah. And as a result, that's a huge thing. Nintendo obviously took a lot of care in having professional Smash players ready to show what the game was capable of, and in that A+, they succeeded tremendously. Yeah. I have some apprehensions about the amount of content that they brought and some few games that I was really expecting that I didn't see, but I can't give them enough praise on the Smash.
Nintendo did bring Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and there was a lot of rules and regulations as far as what we could and couldn't show. For example, there is a video, and I got to screen capture it, because I brought my laptop, and I actually got to screen capture the crystal clear HD footage of Let's Go Pikachu, and then we also got the phone footage of Jackie and D-Rock playing Let's Go Pikachu. I'm not allowed to post that until next week or something. Yeah. But the footage exists and it looks awesome.
I'm also excited for that one. It's not exactly what I had anticipated or maybe what I had hoped for in a Switch Pokemon release. I was hoping for one that was a little bit more in line with a typical Pokemon game. But we've also had a billion iterations of the typical Pokemon game, and I could see a few ways that this Pokemon Go crossover business could actually be really cool.
Yeah. Footage of us playing the new Mario Tennis game is also coming soon. I can't remember when I'm allowed to post that.
Yeah, that's got an embargo on it too. Basically, I'm bummed out that Nintendo didn't bring more, especially Animal Crossing, but what they did bring, it was very polished.
Yeah, because as you heard from our last video, I was really hoping to see a new Star Fox or a new Metroid, and we got Ridley in Smash, so I guess that's Metroid. But I just really hope we can get something akin to a Star Fox 64 at some point before I'm dead. Maybe I'll just go back and play Star Fox 64.
I know, right? Or some modder will incorporate it in Grand Theft Auto 5, engine. Anyway, let's talk about the bad.
Yeah, I think we've covered as much as I can say good things about.
Yeah, there were some other things.
The bad is literally everything else, because all of the other companies.
No, there's some ugly things.
Okay,
too.
There's some ugly things, but anybody who wasn't Sony, Nintendo, or Bethesda, their booths were ugly. They did a bad job,
or at least ugly by comparison.
Yeah, they just
especially with a few developers bringing the heat in such really, really typical ways.
We're talking, some people just put up 4 black walls and had a desk where you could sign in and go play the game behind the desk. It was bad, for a lot of these companies.
Certainly lazy.
Yeah.
No.
It's like, so anyways, it's just bad presentations, not a whole lot of content, and again, I don't know, should I just save all of EA for the ugly?
I don't know. Well, there's a few things that are overtly... a lot of EA is going to be ugly. Let's talk about what we didn't see for the bad. One, it is bad, in my opinion, that I did not get any information on Borderlands 3.
Yeah, that is bad.
It was a part of the otherwise confirmed Walmart leak. It has been something that has been on the tips of many people's lips for a long time. We've been having regimented conversations about when to expect it, on the rumor mill, and it just was completely absent.
Also, it could be debated whether this is bad or not, but companies that were not physically present included BioWare, Rockstar, and Blizzard. Now, Activision was there, and they are a part of Blizzard.
Blizzard does have BlizzCon.
They do have BlizzCon.
Don't need E3 in the same
there's also QuakeCon, but we still got Quake and Doom stuff.
We did. So, we'll see more at QuakeCon,
And the thing, you know, everybody who has been a big fan of BioWare, Knights of the Old Republic, and Mass Effect know that the company isn't really the same company that we used to know and love.
BioWare is BioWare in some respect not behind Anthem.
Well, that's the thing, and you know that's why I'm kind of iffy about it because you know Andromeda wasn't great, so
it was not.
I don't know. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but you know, as the
Mass Effect Andromeda was bad at E3 2018.
No, we were just talking about this before the show, but Rockstar, I don't think they've been at E3 since maybe 2012.
Right,
and they have a huge release this year with Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, obviously, that game is going to sell itself, so it could be argued, well, they don't really need to be there.
Right, and they typically aren't.
Yeah, they're not, but how cool would it have been for them to set up a huge, like, Old West booth with, like, themed stuff? That would have just been awesome.
I feel like Rockstar's on that train of, like, we don't need to interrupt an already convoluted production cycle in order to save 3 months in order to make a workable E3 demo and then deal with embargoes and all that sort of content and crap. And I stand behind them on that. That being said, I would have loved to see them at E3 this year, and Red Dead is something that's going to be a big deal for a lot of people. So I understand why you were not there, Rockstar, but I wish Red Dead was going to be able to grace our lovely eyeballs.
So here's another bad. So some of you are familiar with Devolver Studios. It's an indie brand. They make, you know, things like Broforce and stuff. They had this awesome booth that was outside of the convention. It was like they built a parking lot. They kind of tried to do what Bethesda did last year with Bethesda Land, but they had the huge Devolver balloon and some games and things. It looked awesome, but no one was there because they had a bouncer at the front. It was like, oh, are you on the list? And it's like, well, no, well, then you can't get. It's like nobody knew how to get on the list, how to get in, and so they had all these like little like carnival games out there that no one was playing. And I'm thinking like, who did they make this for? Obviously not for the fans, because it's like maybe 2 executives in there like just drinking beer at a table. Like,
yeah, right.
So that was kind of bad.
They forgot to invite people.
Yeah.
The 2 executives in there are like, did you make that list? Did you? No, I thought you were going to make that list. Shit! Okay, well.
Devolver is a growing company, but they need, you know, they always are going to need new fans to try to build up their fan base. So I think it was just a giant mistake that no one was allowed inside of Devolver's little theme park out there. Huge mistake. So that gets the bad list just because we weren't allowed in. And it was a travesty.
Right. Well, that's kind of ugly because that bad in my mind is like intentional, but just ill-received. Ugly in my mind is like just mismanaged and messy.
It could be ugly. Yeah. But everybody watching this video is going to be like, oh, bad because Rich is butthurt. He didn't get invited into Devolver. Yeah, that's
right. Write it down. Devolver, hit us up. Let us into your shit.
Also, I was disappointed because NVIDIA had 2 big things last year. NVIDIA had a huge tent outside that had a fun, and like they were doing a whole bunch of new NVIDIA things, showing off their new hardware in there. And then inside, NVIDIA had this beautiful showcase. NVIDIA wasn't there at all, as far as I saw. So that was kind of a missed
They're rolling in that
there.
Bitcoin money.
Yeah, Alienware had a little booth inside that was promising, but it's just basically just kind of like a guy with a little tie on showing off the new Alienware computers.
And they look great. Let me just say, Alienware computers have always looked great. You still have to chop off your right arm in order to afford them, but they continue to look amazing. In fact, no, it wasn't Alienware who had that booth at SAC Anime.
Not second, but at E3, Alienware had the booth. And Intel had a booth, which was kind of cool. But I would say that another bad of E3 is that I don't think that they prepared for the loss of some people or companies that just didn't want to be a part of this. There was parts of Hall H that just had nothing in it because I think it was like, oh, here's where NVIDIA was supposed to be, and they didn't come this year.
And it's clearly a vacant wasteland.
And I feel like NVIDIA might have even paid for that space, but then just didn't show up. So, like, you know, you would see over the course of the 3 days, like, other things kind of move in there to try to fill up that space.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. For the first year, or technically it's the second year that the public has been allowed to be at E3. Although last year, if you wanted to go to E3, you had to be part of a raffle process and then pay full price, which was $1,000 a ticket, to get into E3. This year, they lowered the price for what they called the gamer price down to like $250, and then my biggest if with last year's E3 was that I felt it was too crowded. This year was even more crowded, so that was another bad for me. It's just I feel like now they're just letting way too many people in a place that I really think should basically just be press and media.
Right. I talked about this briefly in another video, and I'm not going to rehash it because we're already going over time in this video, but just the idea of, like, E3 should be inclusive to a degree because, obviously, you know, people want to see these games, and there's a lot of money to be made for everybody in, you know, sort of, like, having exposure and garnering it to a really excited public. That's good, and you need bodies in order to have the screaming crowds and, you know, the hype train that really is E3. But on the flip side, the average layman who comes in with their biases and with their things that they're expecting and Elder Scrolls 6 or bust, you know, kind of folks are the ones perusing the group. And as a result, you're going to get a lot of coverage from the general public that is not productive, you know, that not necessarily super good reviews. I've always been a big fan that, like, as a collective, as a body of knowledge, gamers and the, you know, the user base generally produce really, really good results. But when you start getting to an individualistic level, reviews are very sporadic, highly unorganized, very biased. In that, as much as I know everybody's kind of against critical reviews at this point, and, you know, definitely very skeptical of, like, when IGN comes out and presents something because, you know, a lot of those reviews are bought and paid for in increasingly transparent ways. You know, the general public also doesn't present a really good body of evidence, and we're starting to see that, you know, a lot of people come out of E3 really spiteful because their one thing that they were looking for wasn't presented. So that's going to be a balance to strike in the future, and for now, I'm going to go ahead and say the amount of public coverage may be a bad thing.
Yes. Well, now let's talk about the ugly because we're running out of time.
I know, right? And a lot of ugly there.
Hey, if we didn't mention it in this video, it's probably bad or unmemorable.
Yeah.
So the ugly, basically I'm just going to throw EA completely under the bus. The ugly was EA and everybody knows it. Right. You know, they didn't make any apologies. Of course they're not for any of the bad that they've been doing the last year or so. The biggest reveal they had was FIFA 19, which we knew was coming anyway, and nobody gave a stuff about.
Ad-friendly, Rich.
And then again, I said they weren't going to do any Star Wars stuff because they're probably going to lose the license, so they kind of met halfway. And again, you guys might remember in one of our first video game talks, it was revealed that the Titanfall developers were working on a Star Wars game for EA. So that's what we got, was just the title of that with no trailer, no footage, no gameplay, nothing. It was just the announcement that it was happening with, what was it, Jedi something?
Yeah, it's Fallen Order. Star Wars Jedi, The Fallen Order, which is a hard title to say, I will say, because it's like two subtitles. It's like Star Wars, Jedi, The Fallen Order.
And I'm going to call it right now, this game is not in development. This is just EA. They're just throwing that out there because they're like, oh, we need to keep the Star Wars license. And they need to, in the public side, they need to make it look like they still have control over Star Wars. So what I'm saying is, until we hear more about what's going on between Disney and EA, I think that they're just throwing that out there. And when they lose the license, they'll just be like, oh, the game's canceled. Whoops, we don't get to work on it anymore. And if they get to keep the license, they'll be like, okay, now we need to put all of our money into this. So I think they're kind of in a soft spot right now where they don't really know what they're going to do with that. So that's why we didn't really get any real info about that. They just had to release
That's the prime of the ugly for me. It was the complete and total lack of Star Wars content. We did get that announcement that there's going to be the Clone Wars addition to Battlefront 2. Just haven't played Battlefront 2, not super psyched to go back and start playing it again. That being said, General Grievous was a hopeful day one addition for me, and I'm glad that he's finally getting played.
Honestly, just the fact that we have a new Star Wars game, a new Star Wars movie every year, and only one Star Wars game every other year is just like a modern travesty.
Like, it's upsetting because even in, like I've said this so many times, I'm going to say it again. At least when the license was more open under like the Lucasfilms thing, we got a lot of Star Wars games. Some of them were hot, forgettable garbage. Some of them were awful. And time forgot them, all right? You know, like they just faded into obscurity and no one talks about them. But just by the pure saturation of the fact that so many different kinds of people were making so many different kinds of Star Wars games, we eventually got a few really good games. Knights of the Old Republic, the Pod Racer game, which I will go to my grave saying that it was a masterpiece.
Shadows of the Empire,
Dark
Forces,
X-Wing, TIE Fighter, all these different minds are able to come together, and eventually you get it right. With
Rogue Squadron.
Right, absolutely. We could go on and mention all the good ones, but with one developer, this I don't even care. Like, under the idea of one developer making a Star Wars game all the time, that game better be awesome. And when it's not, it stings. And right now it stings. Because not only did we just the only Star Wars thing, Star Wars should be bigger than ever as far as like its license availability. No, but we got one announcement for one piece of DLC for one tired, already out Star Wars game, and we got a fake, borderline condescending, sort of like shallow introduction to the idea of a half-baked Star Wars game that the Titanfall developers are releasing.
Here's the big overall problem, guys, and this is for Lucasfilm as a whole.
Yeah.
Whoever is in charge of Lucasfilm needs to be in charge of everything.
Right.
And that means movies, publishing with the comics, the novels, and everything that trickles down. Now, Kathleen Kennedy, when she took over Lucasfilm after Disney bought it, she didn't want to have anything to do with video games. So Disney was like, all right, here you go, EA. You get the license because Lucasfilm doesn't want to deal with it.
And
so here's my hope.
We're feeling the sting on that. We are.
Here's my hope. In the hope that Kathleen Kennedy does step down by the end of the summer and Dave Filoni steps in, he's probably going to want to resurrect LucasArts. And then LucasArts can license out the Star Wars games to anyone.
Right.
And we'll be back to the golden age of Star Wars games, hopefully. That's my biggest hope. Dave Filoni takes over, resurrection of LucasArts, and Star Wars for everyone. One can only dream, guys.
One can only dream.
Now we're going to answer your question from
1 second. I have one other ugly.
Oh!
I have one other ugly, and it's actually a good, and that is Death Stranding. Death Stranding is a hot mess. It looks completely odd. That trailer made me uncomfortable, and I am putting it in the ugly category. That being said, I love it.
Yeah, more about that later. Anyway.
Oh man, I'm hoping we can get our buddy Brandon Glazer on Video Game Talk one day to hash out his 30-minute like wildly insane, totally not true, maybe true dissertation on why and how like Hideo Kojima got himself fired in order to reboot this under a new thing and then splash back it's Metal Gear Zero, like sort of thing. It's not true, but it's the most entertaining story I've heard in recent memory. So
yeah, we got to get him on here.
I'm hoping he can come in and tell you this.
So every week we ask you guys a question that we answer the next week. We didn't have a video game talk last week, but 2 weeks ago we asked you what you guys were hoping for E3. Now we get to answer it and then tell you if it happened or not.
Yeah.
So,
also,
PVZ Show says, my biggest hope is Animal Crossing on Nintendo Switch. New Leaf was so fun back in the day. A bigger, more expansive entry on the Switch would make me complete.
It would be complete. It would actually be a good idea, one would think.
Prepare to be torn into 1,000 pieces.
PVZ, I'm with you on this. It would make us complete, but here's the thing. Nah. I know a lot of people on the fan Discord, by the way. Get on the fan Discord if you're not already. Link is in the description. PVZ Show, you're right. Animal Crossing would have been a great reveal this year, yet Curiously Void, I really hope it's still, going to come out and whatnot. Animal Crossing is close to a lot of us, and it belongs on the Switch. So, fingers crossed for us, buddy. Here we go.
And then MartyMan641 says, I just think Nintendo is going to crush it. I'm not really into the other 5, but Nintendo threw a big bomb for Smash Bros. Switch. I'm going to react to the Nintendo conference, and I'll see whether or not it's worth it. Well, they did an adequate job.
Nintendo did good. And in fact, if Bethesda wasn't there pissing on everybody,
everybody might be talking about Nintendo if Bethesda wasn't there.
Yeah, so I agree in that context. Nintendo did well, and Smash did crush it. They were a few pieces of content away from really like taking the lead.
Now, Triforce P says Smash Bros is going to own E3. Let's be honest. No, let's be honest. 76 owned E3. Smash Bros just kind of rented it. So.
Smash Bros was a huge highlight at E3. It was. I know Rich is very excited for 76 unabashedly and whatnot, but there is no denying that one of the most thorough presentations at E3 was Smash. So. I'm gonna be like 80% on the side of Triforce here.
David Howley says, I need more PS4 games at E3, and you got no.
You
new
got a
games.
few.
Just a reconfirmation that Spider-Man's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. That being said, you will have Red Dead soon, and you still got God of War earlier this year, so ride that out as long as you can.
Philip Byer says, I think Bethesda has the potential to crush it this year, but that's like 50-50 for me. Sony will probably do really well, and then Nintendo, unless they do something stupid, will knock it out of the park. Give me Metroid and Animal Crossing. Please take my money. You did not get Animal Crossing. You did not get Metroid.
Keep your money, my dude.
Bethesda
Keep your money.
met their potential and did crush it at E3.
Yeah.
Retro Room Gaming says, biggest hope for me is a Mario Party without cars and an actual Paper Mario game. With the partners and storybook style, other than that, looking forward to Smash and Metroid Prime 4.
Yay, Smash!
Yay, Smash! No,
Sorry
Metroid
about Metroid Prime 4.
4.
Interesting on the Paper Mario, I hadn't heard anybody mention that yet. That was one that if I had seen, it would have made sense, but now curiously void.
No.
I mean, curious as to why you don't want Mario Party with cars. That seems oddly specific, but I mean, I guess mission accomplished.
I don't remember if there was any car mini games in there.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean,
you know what? You're gonna have to get in the comments and explain to me why you're so mad about it. That sounds like a very personal vendetta, and I'm curious now. Tell me about your Mario Party car woes.
Yeah. Angel Almanza says, Sony will win, in my opinion, and they did not.
They did not.
Sorry.
Objectively, they did not. There's some others that I might weigh. Nintendo obviously did very well, but I'm pretty confident saying Sony did not win.
Viber Gaming 23 said Kingdom Hearts 3 was already confirmed to get a release date early this month, but that is probably going to get moved. And speaking of Kingdom Hearts 3, there was a small demo on the floor for Kingdom Hearts 3, but it didn't really get a lot of attention because I think everybody was hoping for a kind of a bigger reveal trailer. I mean, they've actually been revealing like levels and things in the last few months.
Those trailers have been
it's been good.
Hard to follow.
For some reason, it's like as we get closer to a Kingdom Hearts 3 and as they keep showing more, I get less interested for some reason. I don't know what's up with that.
It's not that I get less interested for my sake. It's like I keep getting wrapped up in that fear that I had and have said for a lot of videos, and the idea that I'm like, I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to come out. I am going to be so lost on the Organization 13, you know, sort of prominence of the plot and all these weird Xehanort, like sort of Aquanort, like variants of the sort of Riku double soul thing, and I am, guess what? The trailers confirm it. I'm lost. Also, did it seem to you that like the voice acting was pretty subpar?
It wasn't as good as it has been. I don't know what's up with that. Jacqueline Roberts asked she just kind of said a lot of stuff in the comments, so thanks to you for being a good commenter. And then her last one was, have fun at E3, Rich. Wish you had a fun time. I had an okay time.
You had a fun time. I saw your snaps.
I'm just being salty. You know?
Oh my god. I didn't have a fun time not being there, so by extension, you better have had a fun time.
And that's really it for the question.
She's mentioned Breath of the Wild sequel. Still feels like... No, go down. I'm going to give this its due. She mentioned a Breath of the Wild sequel. Sorry, didn't see it. Still feels a little soon, so that's fine. And I think that's it. You know, Devolver Digital, like it did last year, says Bobby Dog. But we already touched on it, what we thought about Devolver. Still rooting for Devolver. A little weirded out by their E3 presence. Not sure what they were going for there, but I want to say, as an individual, I'm still very much rooting for Devolver.
Hey, Devolver, a ticket would be nice.
Yeah.
All right.
No, we wish you the best, dude. As much as we're like about this, if any Devolver.
No more Broforce playthroughs for us till I get that ticket next year. All right.
I might play Broforce again. I get really drunk sometimes with my fiance, and we like to fail at Broforce.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Question for this week, guys. And we, you know, we want a solid answer. We're gonna read all the answers like we did anyway. But I just want to know, out of everything from E3, it's kind of the opposite of the last question. What did you least like from E3? What wasn't there that you were expecting?
Tell us your pain.
What are your biggest disappointments? What could they have done better? What did E3 miss out on? What was the biggest scandal in your mind?
Yeah, what are you the most like, travesty?
Now, we've got a little bit longer this week. We're at like almost 45 minutes here. But I think this is a good episode. We kind of went through everything, or as much as we could. Garrett, did you have anything else you wanted to mention?
I have a lot of other things that I want to mention, but I'm not going to.
Save it.
Because I had a giant rant about Kingdom Hearts that I kind of skipped over. And,
we'll talk more about Kingdom Hearts in a future week. It's fine.
Kingdom Hearts is going to be on the horizon, and when it comes out, I'm sure I'll have lots to say, like, mostly in the vein of, what is happening?
Yeah, we got a big, Smash Bros, video coming soon. Anyway, We're going to talk all about that
Looking
stuff.
forward to that one.
Anyways, if this is your first video on the Regenres channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, and then hit all so that you actually get notified when you subscribe.
So sorry that it's so involved these days.
I know.
But we didn't have a hand in it being that way.
Give this video a like, leave a comment below, and please watch us. We make a new video almost every day. So
Jacqueline Roberts looking for another 9 comment thread from you and friends, because guess what? That does help.
That does help, yes. All right, guys. We love you all. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.